Are you sick of being judged for enjoying a cigarette? Do you want to be able to smoke wherever you want?
You should really try a blue.
Blue e-cigs are way better for you than a regular cigarette. They produce a vapor instead of a smelly, dangerous secondhand smoke.
I love my new blue cig. I can smoke wherever I want.
What's that?
It's my new vanilla flavored blue cig.
Wow, I don't smell a thing.
Well, it's an electric cigarette, so it runs by heating up liquid nicotine.
Wow.
Want to try a hit?
Sure.
You can smoke in class.
Wow, this is great. Do you want to try it? I can smoke it here.
Smoke it in here.
In an elevator.
Hey, there's no smoking in here.
Don't worry, it's just an e-cig.
Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm your host, Caitlin Cosma, and today we are discussing the topic of e-cigarettes. Today I have Dr. Morgan Manning, Annie from the FDA, and Jason Healy, CEO of Blue Cigarette, e-cigarette manufacturer. E-cigarettes is a product that is rising very quickly around the world. It appears to be a safer alternative to a regular cigarette. The issues of whether or not they should be regulated has been an ongoing debate throughout the country. Before we get into both sides of the debate, let's bring in Dr. Morgan Manning, who is a professor at Boston University in the Community Health Sciences. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Manning, how exactly is an e-cigarette different from a regular cigarette?
Well, all e-cigarettes basically work in the same way. There are four main elements to an electric cigarette, which is a battery, a heating element, liquid nicotine chamber with some flavoring in it, and an LED light at the end. When the user inhales through the mouthpiece, airflow triggers the sensor that switches on a small battery-powered heater. The heater vaporizes the liquid nicotine in the small cartridge, and it activates a light at the end of the cigarette. Users can opt for a cartridge without nicotine. The heater also vaporizes propylene glycerol in the cartridge, which is the stuff that the actual smoke is made of. The user gets a hot puff of hot gas that feels a lot like tobacco smoke, except it contains liquid nitrogen and no tobacco. There's a cloud of vapor that looks like smoke, but then it quickly disappears. Comparatively, regular cigarettes, according to the American Lung Association, have at least 600 ingredients in them, and when burned, they create more than 7,000 chemicals, and at least 69 of these are chemicals known to cause cancers. Some of just a few are ammonia, which is a common household cleaner, arsenic, which is used in rat poison, and butane, which is the lighter fluid.
How many different substances does an e-cigarette have compared to a regular cigarette?
Well, an electric cigarette only contains about 10 different substances depending on the brand of your choice. They can be taken in by the person using it or by secondhand smoke. While normal cigarettes burn at over 7,000 different chemicals and substances that can be contributed to secondhand smoke and the smoker, him or herself.
Wow, that's a massive difference. So in your professional opinion, do you believe an e-cigarette is the better way to go?
Well, because the amount of nicotine depends based on the mixture of particular liquid nitrogen installed in the device, some products contain nicotine amounts comparable to regular tobacco cigarettes, while others contain the levels closer to that of the light or ultralight cigarette. The nicotine inside an electric cigarette is, however, very addictive. So when you stop using it, you can get withdrawal symptoms, including feeling irritable, depressed, restless, or anxious. It can be dangerous for people with heart problems and may also harm your arteries over time. So far, the evidence suggests that electric cigarettes may be safer than regular cigarettes. But the biggest danger of cigarettes is tobacco. E-cigarettes and e-cigarettes don't burn tobacco. Tests show levels of dangerous chemicals that e-cigarettes give off are only a fraction of what you get from a real cigarette.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Manning.
Thank you for having me.
Joining us now on stage is Annie from the FDA and Jason Healy, who is the CEO of Blue, an e-cigarette manufacturer. Thank you both for being here today. Now, Jason, how did you first come up with the idea of an e-cigarette?
Well, I was a smoker myself, so I just wanted to come up with an option to give cigarette smokers that same feeling of freedom that they usually have. Now, by giving people the option to smoke electronically, it gets rid of the offensive odor as well as the secondhand dangerous smoke.
Are you against the FDA regulating your product?
Well, I'm not for the idea. The FDA already regulated my brand e-cigarettes for therapeutic reasons. So what makes a difference between therapeutic and leisure difference? My Blue cigarette only contains about 9 chemical substances, whereas your traditional cigarette contains over 4,000 substances. And also, within my product, you can control how much nicotine that you want.
Now, Dr. Manning, who just joined us, she discussed a couple health issues involved with your product and other similar products. What is your take on the health risks that are involved with e-cigarettes?
Well, of course, there are some minor health risks, of course, when you compare to regular cigarettes. Like I said, mine only contains 9 chemical compounds, whereas cigarettes contain over 4,000. So you take away the tar, you take away the smoke, you take away all that others. And when you compare the two, there's really more benefits. There's no odor, it's better health-wise. And studies say that 30% of people that switch to my product end up quitting the habit in general. So when you compare it, and then also the only dangerous part of it is basically children, but obviously that's not our target market.
Thank you. Now, Annie, why is there such a big push to regulate these products?
If cigarette smokers are turning to e-cigs as an alternative, we want to make sure they're made safely and effectively. When we did some lab testing, we found inconsistency in quality. We also found mislabeling of nicotine percentages in the cartridges. Some of the liquid in e-cigs contain toxins besides nicotine, as well as cancer-causing substances found in tobacco. We are especially concerned because calls to poison control centers for e-cig related issues rose from 0.3% to 41.7% in less than 4 years.
Well, that's a big rise. Now, have you guys done anything else? Have you done anything since you found these issues?
We've sent warning letters to 5 distributors for violations including unsubstantiated claims and poor manufacturing. We would like to do further research to find out any other risks from smoking or secondhand smoking cigs, or if there are any potential benefits.
Are there any other possible health risks besides the cancer-causing substances?
We've heard about hospitalizations for pneumonia, congestive heart failure, disorientation, seizures, hypotension, and other health problems stemming from the use of e-cigs. If small children get a hold of one, it can be lethal, which is a scary thought because they're more appealing and smell better than cigarettes.
True, but when you compare, really, it's up to the parents to keep it out of the reach of children. And obviously our target market is not children. So
But they could get their hands on an e-cig.
Well, it's
Do you want to
very
be
unlikely.
responsible
Well,
for the
that's
death?
all the time that we have to discuss this topic today. Please join us tomorrow to discuss the topic of GMOs. Thank you. We're going to now give our personal opinion on the topic of the FDA regulating e-cigarettes, and we're just going to go down the line.
Well, I think that they should be regulated by the FDA because they don't have long-term studies indicating whether these have serious effects on the people who are using them.
I agree with Morgan. We definitely need more testing involved in e-cigarettes because of health risks and everything else involved, and also so that they can limit age use and also the amount of intake that a person can take.
I also agree that e-cigarettes should be regulated because technically they are basically a new product. So you have to kind of do research to find all the hidden dangers that aren't necessarily promoted or found yet. So why not take the time and money just to let the public know what they're inhaling?
Well, especially because the flavors are so appealing to children, it is very dangerous to have these on the market not being regulated.
Yes, it should be regulated.